Again, why am I even recording these? Attempts number 2 or whatever to try and explain. I think that being more truly of ourselves is our salvation, both personally and as a society. The biggest picture that you can imagine, paradigm shift where we are all entering a new phase of evolution, where we have become godlike in our ability to control the world and make it what we want to thrive and prosper, but our models are shit, and in order to actually survive as a species, we need to evolve further. So we need to become way better. And if we are in the acknowledgement of this kind of ego mind state that's created the world around us, but we are also in acknowledgement of these other aspects, these other states that we can tune into and become more and more, then we realize, this is preferable, and this is way more optimistic and in line with true prosperity, away from control and dominance and power and driven kind of stuff like that. It's more aligned with harmony. Now, in your current argumentative perspective of the mind and the ego, it already is fighting and in defense in thought forms of ridicule and accusation and judgment and analysis and critique and logic and all of these things. It's all working in the background in your thought forms. One of the ways to try and combat that is through non-combat. You don't have to fight it. You don't have to try and fight it with its own logic and with its own language and with its own thought forms and its command of the power of the mind to bludgeon and discourage any kind of arguments for a new concept, to perhaps try and instill and to say, yeah, I am talking yellow, but it's harder to grasp logically. It's more of the formless, it's more of the incomprehensible yet conceivable truths in how life could be and how life is if you choose and if you know how, and if you actually are brave enough to say, yes, I will practice being more of my selves. And that means ego takes a backseat. That means you come out into nature where you are naturally drawn and you stay in this space and you spend more time here and really get to know yourself, your true self. And you start to become way more aware of majesty and potential of life. And it's in that state where you can actually start to act more in line and be more in line with what you prefer, rather than what you're told or what you expect of yourself. And the more that you do that, it opens up a portal of a new form of awareness to come through. And that form of awareness is going to be tied to the aspect of your experience, right? For me, right now, it's nature. So it's green. So it's of the body. It's of the senses. It's of the sensations. It's of what is. And in a higher state of truth-seeking and enlightened, thank you, inspiration, I'm a conduit to the stream of consciousness that comes out in these forms. And they're in thought forms, and they're in language, and they're in trying to grasp and become a journalist of my own experience. because I want to take something useful. I want to make something useful. I want to give value to myself and to others. And the most valuable thing I can comprehend is being able to help myself emancipate from the existing and recurring condition of the ego. And I want to help start a paradigm shift of awareness, of action, of behavior, of conversation, of relationships, of understandings. I want to develop all of those in a multitude, an array of forms and practical applications and various ways of communicating, so that you can speak more in a yellow way, an advanced way, an abstract and creative and mystical way, much like I'm doing. You can communicate on that level with people who are along that journey and can comprehend that kind of language, because they already know how to connect to it. They already know what you're talking about in the abstract, in the fundamental truth of it all. But then you can also package to try and come back to sobriety, come back to these lower frequencies where it's ego mind dominated. And so you have to try and communicate to that kind of audience and to that kind of journey and to that level of awareness. And so I'm trying to do everything. I acknowledge all of these concepts and notions, and I'm trying my best to do what I can. And what I know to do now is something that's very easy for me to do, something that feels very, very unnatural, but that's part of the discomfort of the ego. Once I push beyond that, I realize, oh, I love to spend my time in nature, and I love to document visual beauty. Hence being a photographer, hence recording these re-present state videos, and stepping out of my ego, stepping into my higher self and my body, and allowing my decision to say, I don't care how I appear, this is how I feel, and I want to document it, and I want to be allowed to just behave how I want to behave, how I am, underneath the moderation of ego. So I want to live more like this, and I advocate everyone does too. Attempt it for yourself in little increments, and just keep pushing yourself outside your comfort zone. And all of this starts to make a lot more sense as your awareness opens up, and as my terminologies are in the back of your mind as a guidance to help keep the structures intact and the understanding consistent. As you follow along, I would just become better, I guess, more seasoned with communicating my thoughts in a practical way rather than a self-indulgent stream of consciousness. I was going to stop it there, but yeah, I should. Bye.